Welcome to Today. Wellness Today is a brand new show, and I'm here again with my good friend Tracey Gonzalez, who is very interested in your health. And today I think we're going to continue on temperament. Is that right, Tracey?
Yes, we are, Frank. We're going to continue on temperament. Just want to say hello to your viewers, hello to everybody. It's good to be here. We're going to, if I may, I'll let you know what we're going to do for this show, okay?
Go
Ready?
ahead. You're free to roll. We're
going to do a really brief review of last week. We'll kind of review the different temperaments that we went over last week. This week, though, I want to talk a little bit about temperament blends, so we'll go into that. We're going to go into some of the emotional needs of the temperaments and how each temperament reacts to stress. We're going to take a look at some health information, including mental health. We're going to take a look at how some temperaments are more prone to certain disorders and certain illnesses more so than others. And then we're going to take a look at some fun facts to consider when we're interacting with others in reference to our temperament. So it's going to be a lively show here. We're going to have a lot to talk about. So we'll build off of our last show.
Well, that's terrific. You know it's my favorite subject.
I know it's your favorite subject, Frank. I know.
Because I like people, but I'm always trying to figure out, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why? And last show, I think you pointed out that it's because they have a need, and they're trying to fulfill their need. And it's not even something that they're probably conscious of, so we don't want to say they're selfish, but it's just built into them. Go ahead.
That's right. That's right. You know what, and you said that it's probably something that they're not conscious of, and that's why understanding your temperament helps you to understand you. Many times we're in a social setting, we're interacting with our families, we're at our jobs, we're out in the world and we're interacting with people, and we go home and we wonder, why did I do that? Why did I handle that way, So when you understand your temperament, a lot of times you really understand why you did what you did. Also, when you understand temperament and the fact that we all have a temperament in the same way that we all breathe, it's just like breathing. We all breathe differently. You're breathing differently than I'm breathing right now. Everybody breathes differently. And with our temperaments, we are just being us. We're just breathing, but we're all breathing differently. So with the temperament, we want to remember that it is inborn. It's like our spiritual DNA. Our temperament basically determines how much love and affection we need as individuals, because some temperaments need more love than others, and we talked about this a little bit last time. It determines our need to be controlled. There are certain temperaments that are better as they operate better as being followers than leaders, because we need followers. If everyone is chief, then forget it. We're all going to crash into each other. You know what I mean? We're going to have a big mess going on. Everybody has their parts. And there's sometimes when we are followers. There's sometimes when we are leaders. There's other times where we are more comfortable being a follower because we need to be taught. So there's certain temperaments that are much able to handle being a follower than others.
Well, you're talking about this, I'm thinking about one thing. Our modern women today, sometimes they look down on a woman that's very happy, following her husband's lead, keeping a house, raising children, and they say, oh man, what's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Can't you get it together?
Yeah.
Because she's comfortable doing this, so why do I got to do what you do?
Yeah.
I don't want to go out and bang heads with people. There's a difference between a linebacker and a quarterback. Okay?
That's right.
One guy passes the ball to somebody else, the other guy murders people, or gets murdered.
Yeah, and he's totally fine with that, right?
Yeah, he loves banging people.
Or he gets bounced around and he gets right back up and he's totally fine. It never ceases to amaze me. But I could talk about football all day today because I love football. But yes, that's a great analogy there because, there are some women who do better at home, and they are totally fulfilled in taking care of the children, supporting their husband, doing all of the tasks that a stay-at-home mom would do. Then there's other women that just need a little bit more. They're great at being mothers, but they want a little bit more. So they may be great organizers. So they're able to, organize where the children are going to go all day.
Juggle balls.
Yep, and they're able to go out there and, lead the boardroom. So, there's all kinds of women out there. There's all kinds of men out there, and everyone has a temperament. Everyone has a temperament. Another thing that our temperament really hones in on is determining our intellectual energies. And what I mean by that is that there's some people that are they need intellectual stimulation. They may not be the ones that want to really listen to music all day. They're the ones that want to hear talk radio as opposed to music. Their intellectual energies have to be constantly stimulated in order for their needs to get met. So that's another aspect of our temperament. Also, our temperament determines how much socialization we need, because there's some temperaments that do better in big social settings, and there's others that, sometimes they do better when they're in the mood, and other times they just don't need this at all. I just want to stay at home and relax. I'm fine. Don't anyone bother me. And all the friends are saying, but what's the matter? Come on, we hung out last weekend. We went to the show. We went to the party last weekend. What's the matter? There's nothing wrong. It's just a day when that particular temperament, and I'll go over the temperament traits really quick in a minute, they just want to stay home and relax, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're totally fine.
And I got to let Ronnie do that.
That's your wife?
Oh, that's Ronnie. She
Yeah.
would like to just watch television and be happy, where other people got to go out to the ball game, they got to go to the movies, or, so I just go find myself a good book. And I'm stimulated because that's what I like. I like the intellectual side.
There you go.
So I don't want to watch somebody else make-believe show.
And now, let me ask you, do both of you know each other that well? She's fine watching the show, and you're fine sitting in another chair reading the book, and everything's just totally okay?
Now it is. It took a long time to get there, to realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can have friends that think you're missing life. Okay? No, I'm living the life I'm called to do. So I'm not living the life that you're called to do. Well, we had one girl very strong in church work, teaching women that never read the Bible and everything else.
Okay.
And you ask her what her ministry is. She wouldn't say woman. She said, my ministry is tourism.
Is that what she was saying?
What she meant was I always plan vacations and go on them.
Yes.
And why don't everybody do what I'm doing? Because
Right.
they're not the same temperament.
Exactly. When we know ourselves, when we understand ourselves, when we take the time to understand others, our relationships are just so much more fulfilling and so much, just much more beneficial than not. One thing I do want to add too is that we do respond to others according to our temperaments, and I just want to elaborate on the strengths and the weaknesses of each temperament. I'm using the word weakness for lack of a better term, but that's what best describes it. Whenever we're interacting with others, we're either interacting out of the strengths of our individual temperaments or our weaknesses. And each and every temperament has a need. And this is just a review of last week before we go into other areas. Each and every temperament has a need. And if those needs are not fulfilled, and the person does not understand what's kind of like going on, they're going to operate in the weaknesses of their temperament as opposed to adjusting themselves accordingly and operating out of their strengths. So this is something that's very important for us to understand, because many times when I sit down with people and we review their temperament and we talk about their strengths and their weaknesses in their temperament, they may say, that's not me. That weakness is not me. And as we talk a little bit more, we find out that, you know what? Yes, that was me years ago, but I've recognized that in myself and I've changed. But yes, that was me years ago.
Let me say this, and I think that you're right on 100%, and that is that when we disconnect our logic and we connect our emotion, Okay, now we go to what feels good, what gives me revenge, which gives me satisfaction, and all of that stuff. That's a negative emotion rather than a positive emotion. If we take our intellect and understand why we're doing it, how it's going to affect the other person with a different temperament, then we're operating in a positive emotion, which is love. We're considering the other person. We're getting our eyes off ourselves. And again, it comes out self-consciously. It's the self-defense mechanism, like, oh, how dare you say that to me? It is the truth. Okay? Now you can benefit from what I said, or you can attack me and try to defend it and deny it, but that's dangerous.
And you know something? There are certain temperaments that are able to receive correction better than others.
Like which one?
You know? Well, it depends. Let's see. I would say that they all have their own needs, okay? But for example, and I do want to go through the temperaments so that we can remember kind of like what their different traits are. The choleric. The choleric is that one that's very task-driven, goal-oriented, a great leader. This is the one that will start a flourishing company because they're very goal-driven. They want to get their needs met according to what their needs are. So let's just say that we have a choleric who is working on a project and someone comes to them and corrects them, tells them, you know, it's best if you do things this way, it's best if you handle this person that way. If it's according to their goal, if it's going to get their need met, if it's going to profit them and it's something that will help them get to their finished product, they're fine with that, totally fine, because that's how they think. They would think, you know what, that's true, I need that. Okay, fine. They're not going to dwell on that. They're not going to stand there and give that person pats on the back all over the place. They're going to take that bit of information and they're going to keep on moving and run with that thing and get their task done.
I do that with Ronnie.
So you're the choleric.
I say, do I pass inspection? Can I go now?
So yes.
And she'll say, change that tie.
And you'll say, I remember
thank you.
this. You'll say, thank you. Yes. One of the temperaments, just to go over them really quickly, because we do want to touch on a couple things.
We have about 15 minutes, so we got time.
Okay. One of the temperaments is the sanguine. I don't know if you remember the sanguine, but with the sanguine, that descriptive word was the popular sanguine. That's the one that I was telling you that kind of reminds us of like Goldie Hawn, that free-spirited, fun-loving, happy, expressive person who just loves life, and they're very charming, witty, easygoing, they're outgoing. They can be emotional and moody at times, but they're that person that's really fun to be around, the sanguine. I don't know if you can think of anyone, any of your friends that fit into that category. And with the sanguine person, there's times when you want them around you all the time, you know, because they're so upbeat. But when you're feeling kind of like, when you're in a relaxed mode, you just want to take it easy, that sanguine person may not be the one that you want to be around that day. That person is very up and happy and free-spirited.
Time I don't want to be around him, okay, is when I'm serious and I want to accomplish something. And he seems like a butterfly that will not land, okay? Or he will not end his idea. So he eats up 20 minutes what could be said in 2 minutes. Okay? And so, you know, I tend not to work with that kind of person.
Okay. And then when you have self-identified as a choleric, so when you are in that place, how are you going to handle that? How are you going to handle that person?
Usually I tell them, kind of, I love you. We're going to fellowship together. We might go on vacation together. We're not working together. Now, I know that's not the right answer, but it's my weakness is I'm not ready to make the adjustment yet to operate the way you do in order for us to work as a team or to find a happy medium.
Okay, so keeping that sanguine in mind, one of the needs of the sanguine, and again, when I talk about needs, I'm talking about the same way that we need food. Each temperament has needs. So one of the needs of the sanguine is they need attention, they need affection, and they need acceptance as they are. So when you say all that to that sanguine person, if you catch them just right, they might walk away kind of downtrodden, like, oh boy, what did I do? Or if they're going to, if they're very self-aware and they're on one of their high notes there, okay, Frank, I'll see you later, and on to the next person. They need that social interaction. So usually when they're with you, it's because they need that social interaction there. One of their weaknesses is the fact that they're one of the most least disciplined of the temperaments. And that's why for you as a choleric, they may kind of like get under your skin a little bit when you're really focused on what you're doing. They're very impulsive, they're very restless, so if you're trying to focus and get something done, the sanguine may not be the best person to be around at that particular time. But just by you knowing that, you would probably handle the situation a little bit differently if you recognize, you know, this is a sanguine person. I don't want to hurt their feelings. Let me figure out something that I can have them do so they would not feel rejected. Because as a choleric, you're very good at coming up with some quick solutions, and you're usually pretty right with your quick solutions to a dilemma that you may be facing.
What I do there is I call him on the phone rather than meet with him, which he would prefer, which would take half afternoon, okay? And I say, I think I got the place where you can have your meeting, okay? And you know, I think I know who can do this for you, okay?
Yeah.
Not me, but I think I made the connection with somebody who can lead the program
There you
the
go.
night you're away. But he knows I'm trying to help, but I don't want to get over involved. I don't want to get smothered because I got my own mission to be on.
Okay, that's right. That's you got it. You got it. Now you don't want to tell all your secrets. You don't want to tell all your secrets now. Your sanguine friend might be listening. Do you remember with each temperament, they control others with certain characteristics or certain ways of doing things. Do you remember offhand what the sanguine person controls others with? I'll give you a split second.
No.
The sanguine person controls others with their charm. They can be very, very charming. And so they control others with their charm. All you have to do is think about Goldie Hawn. I just remember her on different movies. You know what I mean?
You know, everybody loves this man. There's no doubt about it. You're right.
Yep, with their charm.
Yep.
I want to quickly touch on the choleric because we're talking about the choleric. And the descriptive word, if everybody remembers last week, was powerful. The choleric is that powerful person, that very charismatic person, that person that's a good leader. They're a good boss. They know how to take charge. They're strong, goal-driven, love to work. That's a choleric person. They're task-driven. And I just want to remind you, well, you know, you have claimed the choleric temperament. I do want to say that with the choleric, at the risk of giving you too much information here, being prideful maybe, the choleric is good, as I said before, at making really sound decisions, you know, really putting a project together and saying, come on, you guys, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And if someone has a problem, they'll come to the choleric, and that choleric can think pretty quick on their feet and give some really good answers. That's a great strength.
That's how they moved me from being a director to an international business consultant.
Okay.
My company saw, even though I wasn't educated in a certain area, that they could send me to Europe and I would solve the problem when they didn't even know what the problem was. And I said, if I just solve it, it'll be a miracle. And sure enough, we solved the problem.
Very good. And it was a miracle.
It was,
You
believe
did
me.
it. But your temperament is the one that can do that job. Goal-oriented, task-driven. You're very loyal. The temperaments the choleric is very loyal. They need that loyalty. They need that loyalty from others. They need the appreciation for what they're doing without even recognizing the fact that they need that. Many times I talk with cholerics during counseling, and they will say, you know, I'm not a prideful person. I don't need recognition. But as we talk a little bit more, and they go about their lives, they do recognize those times when they have done something and did not get the recognition for it. And although they may not have said anything, inside there's something kind of bubbling up inside because they just want a little bit of the recognition of that particular task that they help to accomplish. Some of the weaknesses of the choleric: unemotional, strong-willed. They can be workaholics, very stubborn, and they control others by the threat of anger. If you remember that, the threat of anger. They're very task-oriented. They need to get that job done. So when you're letting that sanguine know that they need to take their energy elsewhere, that sanguine's kind of like picking up on some angry vibes maybe, and they may walk away and go finish whatever they were doing elsewhere instead of getting on your bad side. Can we move on to the next one really quick?
Yeah, you described exactly what I do.
I don't want you to think too hard. You got anything to add for the choleric before I go on?
I think you described it. A withdrawal is another way of, showing dissatisfaction. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so instead of being angry and being harmful to the other person, mm-hmm. the fact that a very noisy person becomes very quiet and goes off and works by himself.
Right.
Everybody knows, Frank's not happy.
Yeah. But yes, yeah. And for you, you can walk away. It could be like a coping skill. You can walk away, do whatever you need to do to get yourself together, count to 10, get a drink of water, breathe, whatever it is, and then come back and get that task done because you're going to, because you're task-driven. You're going to do that. Then on the flip side, we have the peaceful phlegmatic. That person that's very slow, cool, calm, and collected, balanced. If you remember from last time, they could be shy. They're easygoing, very patient. They're the peacemaker, great negotiator because they're very calm and they can see both sides. So a lot of people will go to the phlegmatic for some sort of resolution regarding some sort of conflict that they're having. This phlegmatic, though, can be difficult to motivate. They do not like change that much. They like everything to be balanced. As a matter of fact, they are the most balanced of the temperaments. And when we talk about needs, they need peace and quiet. They just want you to keep the noise down a little bit, They need a feeling of worth. They need a lack of stress. They don't work well with stress. And also, they need you to respect them for who they are. So that phlegmatic person, even though we say that they're kind of slow-paced, it's not that they're lazy. That's just the way that they're made to take care of whatever their life's purpose is, Phlegmatics are very much needed, very much needed. And as we talk about the blends, we'll see where a phlegmatic balances out other temperaments very well. One thing that we did talk about last week, too, was that with the phlegmatic, their way of controlling others is through procrastination. They're the ones that will procrastinate, and that's their way of keeping their control of the situation in a quiet manner. They'll just procrastinate just so that they can remain balanced. Everybody looks at them like, what's taking them so long? Why aren't they doing that? But they'll do it. Just give them time. They'll do it in their own timing. They just need to be fine, and they just need everything to be nice and easy. So that's the phlegmatic. With them, they tend to control others with their threat of mood. They could be moody sometimes. So that's the phlegmatic person. I don't know if you have anyone in mind that you see as being phlegmatic. They're ones that want to reserve their low energy. They don't want to. They're very, very aware of their energy level all day. They're the ones even, and not that they're, as I said, not that they're lazy, but they just have this very calm demeanor and this calm temperament. So they may even be the ones that take a nap in the middle of the afternoon because they know that by the time the evening comes, if they have something to do, they have to reserve their energy.
Well, let's try to cover the last one before we end the show.
Okay. The last one we're going to just remind everyone about is the melancholy, because as we go forward in our next show, we are going to talk about the health needs of, or some of the health dilemmas that the different temperaments find themselves falling into. So it's very important for us to keep that melancholy in mind, that perfect melancholy. They're the deep thinker. They're the one that needs to know the purpose of things. They're very analytical. So we're going to keep that melancholy in mind as we go forward. They need space. If they don't like you for some reason, just give them a little bit of time because they need their space. But when they're okay, come on in. They're ready to latch a hold of you.
Well, that's been very interesting.
Yeah.
It's always educational to review these things. I think that we should really not only learn our own temperament, but the temperament of others, so we make it easy on ourselves as well as pleasant for the other people. Well, we're at the end of another great show, and we're glad that you joined us. We're going to continue next week on temperament. It's very important. We want you to learn your own. We want you to know that, especially your significant other. I mean,
Very important.
Very important. We'll keep you out of divorce court if you're married. And the other thing I think that you really want to do is protect yourself health-wise, because that's what our show's about.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing in the wrong temperament with people, or the wrong action with other people's temperament, you're creating pressure on them, which is not good for them, and it's not going well with you. So now you've got stress. Stress breaks down your immune system.
That's right.
You get sick. You wonder why you have all the stress in your life. You're creating it. Okay? But we always want to blame it on somebody else if we're immature. And that's really a problem.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not accepting responsibility. And so we're going to talk about that.
Yep.
Reach us on our email if you want help. If you think that you need clarification, it's on the screen right now. And so we're going to see you back here next week, same time, same station, same subject, temperament. And we thank you, Tracey, for your wealth of knowledge.
Thanks, Frank.
And we thank you for being the person you are, trying to help others with their health. Have a good day. Be at peace.